J Media.
Welcome back to Ignite Your Why podcast. I'm your host, Austin T. Gullett, and we're here to have genuine conversations with authentic people to help amplify their voice and figure out what ignites their why. Today's guest is the founder and executive director of Brown's Hands Literacy. She's an educator, a mother, an author, an HBCU advocate, and so much more. And I can't wait for you guys to find so much more about this lady. She is truly remarkable. So let's give a warm welcome to Latoya Turner. Latoya, how you doing today?
I'm doing great. Thanks for having me. How are you?
I'm good. I'm tired. I feel like trying to get back into the swing of things because spring break just happened, and I'm now like I actually braked over spring break.
Okay, that's a good thing.
Because I didn't get a fall break, I didn't get a Thanksgiving break or a Christmas break, so I was like, spring break, I'm breaking. Like, there's no there's no way around it.
Well deserved.
So being back at work, I'm like exhausted because I'm just like, oh, I took a whole week off and now I have all these like emails and things to catch up on.
Hmm.
Like I've said before on this podcast, work is always going to be there, and
That's
gotta
true.
put myself first sometimes. So, but I'm excited to have this conversation. I know we've had conversations in passing and we worked together on a few projects, and I'm
Yes,
excited to learn more about you. And just I love connecting with people. So let's just hop straight into this.
let's
So,
get it.
what is your story?
So my story. So of course, my name is Latoya Star Turner. Um, my mother named me Star. My middle name Star because she felt like that I was going to be a star. But no, as a kid, and even now, I think it's very fitting. So, born and raised in Detroit, Michigan, um, to my parents, Selena and Walter Turner. The upbringing in Detroit was probably everything that you've probably heard about. I mean, honestly, I had a amazing family, but lots of like and things that just happened in the city, violence,
Mhm.
drugs, just a rough type of neighborhood. But I will say that my parents were pretty wealthy and pretty involved in the things that I do that leads me into now as far as like education and things like
Mhm.
that. In elementary school, I had a bubbly personality. I was a great friend, a great person. And I can still see, like, even to today, like, I still have like the same smile. And kind of the same personality. I look at pictures when I was as my younger self, and I still like see that in me now. Grew up with siblings, brothers and sisters. I have a sister who is 1 year older than me. Her name
Mhm.
is Latasha, and we people thought we were twins growing up. So having a sister, and I have a brother, and it's five of us. So just having like siblings, but being
Mhm.
particularly a sister who's literally 1 year and 5 days older than myself. We did lots of things together, and like I stated before, people thought we were siblings. In high school, I remember me thinking about like the future, like what's next for me,
Mhm.
and I did the Cadet Teaching Program, and it was for me to go into this elementary school to be a teacher assistant. And I think that's when I found like my passion. I would leave high school every day for 2 hours, and I would help the teacher. And I think that that's when I really found like my passion of me being wanting to be an educator, which I will kind of share. Um, and that kind of stems back from in elementary school and middle school and high school. I had some pretty awesome teachers, and my school
Mhm.
experience was pretty positive. And I knew that I wanted to give back in some way. I even wrote a letter that I still have when I was 13 years old. And it said, I didn't even know what it meant at the time, but it said like, I want to attend a HBCU become someone famous, which I don't know why I said that because I don't want to be famous. Known as a known as a nice person and attend an HBCU in Atlanta. So I still have that paper, and when I look at it, I'm like, like all the things that were meant for me is kind of true. Like I'm known as a person who likes to help people.
Hmm.
I graduated from HBCU and known for someone who wants to do good work in the community. So that's kind of mind blowing. But I think that my childhood have shaped me into the person I am today. One, because of supportive family. Two, of like I said, growing up in Detroit, things were Detroitish and a bit rough, but I knew that
Hmm.
I wanted better, and I knew that I wanted to help people. So Latoya now is all the titles that you just said: a mother, an educator, a HBCU advocate. Um, those things came about of me not knowing about HBCUs, really growing up and learning about it a little bit much later. Even though I wrote that 13, I really didn't understand the meaning of it, but I knew that I wanted to go to an HBCU just because
Hmm.
of, I guess, the fun of it. Um, but it now holds a special and dear place in my heart. So Latoya is the titles that you mentioned, but Latoya is also personally just a woman who wants to do good work to help the community, who love kids, a literacy advocate, and someone who likes to have fun.
I think that's beautiful, and I think I can relate to you in a sense because I feel I grew up in Covington, Kentucky. Not sure if you're very familiar with the area, but there is very similar. Like I feel like Detroit and Cincinnati are kind of similar, and Covington is just kind of like an extension to Cincinnati, in my opinion. Sometimes
Hmm.
it's an easy way to explain it, but they're completely opposites. Cincinnati and
Yeah.
Covington are completely different in a way, but that's kind of a way to explain it. And I feel kind of like where you're coming from because I feel like I always had a choice growing up. And I tell people all the time because like I've been exposed to many different walks of life, right? I've had
Hmm.
friends who have gone to jail for murder. I've had classmates and teammates and friends who have been murdered. I have friends in jail for like drug charges or whatever it may
Yeah.
be. But I also have friends who went off to become like lawyers and doctors and are doing amazing things. And it's, I feel like I always had a choice growing up. When I say that, is like
Hmm.
I could have easily went down that path and got into the wrong crowd and got into those
Exactly.
things. But like I like you, like I knew I wanted something better and I wanted to make a difference and I wanted to give back because like I was fortunate just like you. Like my parents weren't like the wealthiest around, but like I never had to worry about clothes being on my back, food being on the
Hmm.
table, a roof over my head. Like I was very fortunate and like I've seen friends of mine move 7 times in one school year in the same area, but like just bouncing around house to house. So when you're exposed to those things, it kind of like makes you like open your eyes and you're just like, damn. And then you see the rest of the world and
Exactly.
you're like, this is not normal.
And even back, I was like, "Oh, this was not normal at all." But then it also makes you a well-rounded person. Like
Hmm.
you could take me, I could be in a professional environment, I could be in a hood, like I could be in any type of environment and thrive.
You can code
Just
switch real good. Like I think that's the thing is like you adapt to the environment you're in, but you also never lose sight on like who you are as a person because it's like I can chop it up with you, I can talk with you, I can dap it up, cool, but I know who I am and I know where I want to be. And I think that's why like
exactly.
I didn't hang out with certain people growing up because I was like I'm focused on sports. Like,
Yeah.
sports in school. And I think that was my thing. And I was like, it's funny how you're talking because like I almost went into education, but I didn't. And I think one thing you mentioned the most, like that kind of stood out to me was you had teachers that kind of inspired you to go on this journey. And I think
Hmm.
educators are so valuable and they are so underpaid and underappreciated and they do so much. And I have those same teachers that like I can just think of. I'm like, this person had a huge impact on my life.
Hmm.
And it's just a blessing, honestly. You mentioned a cadet program. And when you said it, I mentally thought of like the military, but
Yeah.
once you went into more detail, it made more sense. But what was it that like kind of drove you to like want to do that? Because I know you said it wasn't until you were in that like space where you found the passion to be an educator. But what was it that drove that decision of like, I want to try this out, and then the rest was
Yeah,
history?
so just growing up of being in Detroit, and
Mhm.
having cousins and having a sister, and we would always just kind of play school. And I love school as well. Like we would play school. I love school. I had awesome teachers, and I remember it was actually my senior year. It was an opportunity because at that point I've never like no one owned a daycare. I was never in any type of like learning centers or
Mhm.
environments. My parents wasn't educators, so it was really kind of a new um, lane for me. But I remember it came out like it's a cadet teaching program. And the first thing was you can leave school every day and go to the elementary school for a couple of hours and you can help the teacher. Like you can work with kindergarten students. So the first thing honestly was, okay, you love like you love playing teaching, like you love school, and you get to leave. And you get to leave the school to go to the school. And the elementary school was literally like next door. So
Mhm.
that was kind of what sold me first, honestly. But then I went into the classroom and I would spend like 2 hours every day. So the teacher would say, and I was a high school student. I was in the 12th grade. So the teacher would say something like, oh, you can like, here's a small group. You can work with these 3 students and they're doing this arts and craft activity. Or you can read a book to these students. So I would do that every single day. And that was kind of like, after that, I was like, oh, I want to be a teacher. Like, I want to go into early
Mhm.
childhood education and become a teacher because I enjoyed doing those things. So it was my whole senior year. So from that, I had a lot of experience. Like, and the teacher who I was working with was super helpful. Like, she would let me,
Mhm.
like, run my own group. Of course, she'll be in the classroom, but she'll say, hey, and then we had to come up with our own lesson plan. So at the school, the lady who was like running the program at the high school, she would say, okay, next week, your homework assignment is to prepare a lesson. So I would go into the schools and the teacher would allow me to do those things. She would give me feedback. But that experience alone, it shaped me into like being a great educator, even going into college because I had
Mhm.
a little experience. But when they told me that I could leave school for a little bit and I could work with kids, leaving school part honestly is what sold it for
I was
me.
about to say, because if you gave me an opportunity to leave school, because I remember my senior year of high school and I literally needed 2 credits to graduate, but I still had to take a course load of everything. So like I had English and math and then like 5 electives. And I was just
Mhm.
like, I live 2 blocks over. Like I could just go home. Like let me take English, let me take math first and second
And
better
go
and just be
home, right?
done. But I think that's a dope program just because like you don't see that often, especially in
No,
high school.
I'm like, I
Like,
don't know if it still exists. Like when I tell people this, it was like you was leaving a high school. I was like, yes, I
I
was
mean,
leaving a
like,
high school.
there's co-op positions. I think like there's like work studies, but I think it's just an interesting dynamic because it was in education and it wasn't
Hmm.
necessarily like I know some kids who leave school early and go work, and they're working at like Wendy's or something because it's like a job. But like that is very career specific. And I think that
It
is like a
was.
beautiful thing. So it's like, why don't these programs exist? And it makes you wonder, like, how can you implement some kind of programs in
Yeah, it
the
really like
city,
changed.
especially the inner city? Because like I know a few students who would love to be like educators, and it's just like, why not give them an opportunity
Hmm.
to learn? Were you paid? That's the real question.
No,
Ah,
no,
so you just
I
get
got
free.
credits. I received some credits, but no, it was not a paid position. But honestly, because of that, I knew that I wanted to be a teacher because
Mhm.
prior to that, I was thinking of all kind of things like I was unsure. I feel like the kids nowadays they know exactly what they want. Like kids who are like in high school who's really like college driven, and I'm like these kids are much more mature than I was.
I mean, these kids I have conversations with, they're like, I want to do this. And I'm just like, at your age, I had no idea what I wanted to do. I just knew I was
Exactly.
going to college.
So
I
no, seriously, I work with a lot of high school students. I talk to a lot of high school students. I meet a lot of kids and people, and I'm like,
Hmm.
the kids now, like I know a lot of people say like these kids these days, which could be true, but these kids these days, they really know what they want, and they're so smart and so like driven of exactly like I want to do this, and this is the plan, and this is what I want to do to make sure I get to that point. And even networking,
Hmm.
like there's kids like coming up to me, introducing themselves, telling me what they want to do, and networking at such a young age. That's also another great like a skill to have.
And I think that's only I'm trying to like not only because I feel like there's multiple reasons, but I think a part of the reason that is because you have to see who's educating them. It's it's the millennials, it's the Gen Zers, it's the
Mm-hmm.
younger group where we were told to network. I think I tell kids all the time now is like network. Like I remember I was volunteering on like like a week or two ago with a few of my students, and one of my students was like, I want to talk to her, can you introduce me? And I was like, you can do it. Like you have like to take that courage, because like I'm not going to be there when you go to college
Exactly.
to make those introductions or anything like that. Like if this is what you want to do and this is what you're interested in, like go make that introduction. Just be like, hi, like
Mm-hmm.
I'm so and so, and I'm curious if we could just talk about your profession or whatever it may be. But I think that's the thing is like these kids, like people say these kids are like bad or whatever it is, but you have to see the world they're living in, right?
Yeah.
Like we didn't have well, like I like kind of did. Like we didn't really have social media. Like we had
It's a whole
MySpace.
new world.
We had MySpace, maybe Facebook when it first started out, like, and like Snapchat wasn't like big or anything. Like
Mm-hmm.
social media was not a big thing like when I was in high school, and it didn't really take
Yeah.
off until like college, I felt. um but like I couldn't imagine growing up in a world where you have so much access to everything. Like you can go to
Mm-hmm.
TikTok University and just learn.
Exactly.
like
Seriously.
you like I had Vine, I had 6 second videos. Like I didn't have TikTok where you can like have all of these things. But I also feel like with the world we live in, like these kids are kind of forced to grow up a little bit quicker. Like
For
I
sure.
had the joys of playing outside with my friends, playing manhunt, and having to be inside by the street light coming on, and or
Mm-hmm.
in the backyard. I could still be outside, but I had to be in the backyard. Like it's just like those things, and I feel like it. There's pros and cons to it all. I feel like you lack the interpersonal skills of like communicating and talking, and that's why I kind of push my kids to step out their butthole. Like you need to do that. You're
Yeah, because
telling me
you're
this is
right
what you
in the
want, like.
mix of it. Like you're in high school.
Hmm.
That's that age. And I've never like I've been an educator, but I've never taught high school or middle school. Mine is like planting the seeds, but you're definitely right in it, right in the middle of from transitioning from like middle school, like they're in high school now to college. So you get to see it firsthand.
Yeah, so I think that's the thing is just trying to give kids valuable life lessons and trying to make them step out of their comfort zones, because they want a lot, and I tell them like you got to work for it. Like you want it, like you got to put in the effort to make it happen, because not everything in life's handed to you. And I think that's
Mm-hmm.
kind of like my lesson to them is like, I appreciate your ambition, um, and I'll guide you and I'll help you where I can, but I'm gonna push you to step out of your comfort zone and be the best version of yourself so you can grow
Exactly.
and take these skills to the next level. Because I'm not gonna be there when you go off to college. I already did that,
Mm-hmm.
and I ain't going back. Like I have kids telling me like, oh, like you should come be the AD at this school, like so you can stay with us, and I'm just like, no, like I'm happy where I'm at.
Right.
But I kind of want to go into the next segment here, where it's
Yes.
like the chunk of the podcast. So my question for you is just, what is it that truly inspires you? But most importantly, what is it that ignites your why?
So what truly inspires me? And the second question was,
What ignites your why?
What ignites my why? So, what inspires me are right now in the work that I'm doing. So, Brown Hands Literacy is an organization that I founded, but going back from like what inspires me what inspires me is seeing the impact that I am able to make on communities, families, kids. I have a 4-year-old son, August. He inspires me daily. Being a mother, that's something that I truly take pride in. So, over the course of 13 years of me being an educator and then having my own child and being able to educate him, and there's things that I've learned from teaching that I know that like I try to instill with him. So I do like fun activities with him at home, and just seeing him like super proud of like, oh, my mommy's an author, or my mommy's doing this, and things that he does at home and things that I do it with him, that inspires me. Also, I meet so many people who constantly say like, oh, Toya, you inspire me, but which could be true, but I'm also inspired by the many people that I meet.
Hmm.
I'm inspired by when people tell me, hey, because of the work that you're doing, I now going to attend a HBCU. Um, because of you, my kid loves to read books. So what inspired me the most is one, having being a mother and having a son who look forward to going to school, doing activities, just being himself. And
Yeah.
then two is the impact that I am able to make on literacy, children's books, getting kids excited about being themselves, and also attending the HBCU. What ignites my why is pretty much the outcome of all of those things.
Hmm.
Um, I know that I get truly excited and I am fulfilled when I know that I'm helping others. Um, it's amazing to see like the progress over years. So what ignites me also is just being patient. Like when you start something and you're consistently working on that, and then it could be years. So I like my
Hmm.
organization started 5 years ago. And in the beginning, you could like be a little bit doubtful, hopeful, and all those things. But what I've learned is that when you constantly put in the work, put in the effort, be patient, don't give up of what could come out of that. So it has been like quite the journey, all
Hmm.
positive. And of course, some things that did not go as planned, things that go well. Like my word for this year is to pivot, 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 pivot. Because when things don't go as planned, then you need to have a plan B.
Yeah.
Um, so yeah, so what ignites me is the outcome of what happens when I'm being consistent, when I'm putting in the work and seeing the results of all of my hard work.
I think it's hard to be patient sometimes.
Mhm.
And I think that it is a key to success. But I think Rome wasn't built in a day. So you just got to take it one day at a time. But I think in the world we live in, it's kind of easy to compare ourselves
For
to other
sure.
people, to see, like, oh, this person's doing this. Why isn't my podcast or my organization flourishing like they're doing? What am I doing wrong? And when we live in a world of social media, it's a sexy highlight reel. You see all the
Mhm.
good, you see everything that's positive. You don't see the struggles behind closed doors. And I think that's the beauty of life, because you're going to have those ups, you're going to have those downs, but it's just how do you get back up and keep fighting? And I think that's the biggest thing is you're going to have to get knocked down to get back up.
Yeah, because you can see all of these glamorous things on social media, but behind the scene, even with Brown Hands Literacy, like I said, people always like, "Toy, you inspire me," and I'm like, I'm inspired by other people.
Hmm.
And when you see people on social media, that can be discouraging, or seeing someone who's doing the same thing as you and they're thriving, and you're thinking you're behind, but really they've been working on this for 10 years and they're now at this point, or whatever the case may be, everyone's story is different, and everyone has go through struggle. Like some
Yeah.
people, everybody goes through struggle and to succeed. Either you're going to take that struggle and you're going to give up and quit, or you're going to see the light at the end of the tunnel and keep pushing forward, and then you will see results. But if you look back on the course of, if you think you haven't made any progress, and this is for anybody, and you look back over the course of 1 or 2, 3 years, I'm sure there's growth. So you have to just take that growth and continue to grow it, so that way you will get to your full potential of things that you want to do. And I also say, like, passionate work. You have to be really
Mhm.
passionate about something. If you're like in between of, you may want to do it, you may not want to do it. Not saying don't do it, but
It's not gonna be
that's
worth
what you.
it. I mean,
It's like,
it's one of those things where it feels like a job, and I feel like you wanna love your job to where it feels like you're not working, and I think that's
for
why,
sure.
like, I was like, "I gotta bring this podcast back because it's something I truly love to do," and I was, like, trying to do something for me again, and it's one of those things where, like, when I'm talking, I smile a lot. I don't know why. It's just because, like, this is my space. This is where I feel, like, whole. This is where I feel, like, true, like, you know what I mean? Because I get to have
Mm-hmm.
deep conversations and I get to connect with people, and that's just something I love to do. And I think it's interesting. I'm going back a little bit because you said your word for the year is pivot. And when you said that, I just smiled because I thought of my mom. Because have you seen Friends?
Yes. Yes.
Where they're moving the furniture and they're like, pivot, pivot.
Yeah.
Like every single time, like my mom and I are like moving furniture around, that's all she does. And it's like
It's
when
a
you said
pivot.
it, and when you said it, I was like, oh my gosh, like it made me think of Friends and my mom. So there's like, I'm gonna get you a magnet that says pivot on it because I know my mom has one, and
Oh,
I'm
give
gonna
me one,
find it.
because I don't. That wasn't my word. Like January 1st of 2025, that was not my word. But as we've been going throughout
You
throughout the
gotta,
year,
you gotta
I'm like,
pivot.
pivot, but that was definitely not my word. January 1 of 2025. So going into this year is definitely things pivoting, and and that's cool. That's okay. If you have to pivot, but just don't give up. So I'm just like going with the flow. I'm going with the flow of things, but I'm also making sure that, like, it's passionate work. I'm happy
Hmm.
with doing it, because at this point of time and age, honestly, I'm not doing anything that makes me stressed, upset, or it's not passionate work. Of course, stress comes even with like brown hands literacy. I'm super
Hmm.
passionate about that, but of course that comes stress. But I'm so passionate about the work. It's like, okay, let's move forward. But if it's anything that's going to make me unhappy, like, I don't want to be involved. I don't need it. I don't want it.
Goodbye.
Mhm.
I think that's the thing. Like, you gotta do stuff for you, and I'm learning that. I think that was one of the things, like going into this year, was putting myself first again. Because I feel like the back half of 2024 was, I wouldn't say like the worst time. You know what I mean? But it
Mhm.
wasn't like I wasn't investing in myself. I was kind of like
Yeah.
indulging myself into work, and just work, work, work all the time. So it was one of those things where it was like, okay, what am I doing for me? Right.
Mhm.
And you got to have those like little moments. But I kind of want to like pivot
Yeah.
into the next segment here. So this is my favorite segment of the entire podcast, which is kind of funny because the podcast is called Ignite Your Why. But
Yeah.
I'm a big mental health advocate, and I will always find an opportunity to have conversations about it because it's so important. And I feel we're in a world where it's starting to get more like normalized, I would say.
Mhm.
So my question for you is, how have you been taking care of yourself mentally?
That's a great question. So the way that I take care of myself mentally is, well, one, I'm glad that the weather is changing and there's more sunlight and there's um more brightness, because one thing that I enjoy doing is like just being outdoors doing activities,
Hmm.
whether it's a walk or in my yard. Those are things that bring me a peace of mind and brings me joy to take care of myself during the winter months. Um, not a lot of like outdoorsy type of things, which could be like, that's like my happy place. But during the winter months, it's kind of
It's
what
that
I've been
seasonal
doing
depression.
is like, you say what?
That's that seasonal depression.
Yeah, seasonal depression. So in the winter months, I have to like I journal. I um, do like arts and craft activities with my son. Going to get massages, and really sometimes it's just like just doing something for me, whether that's like, okay, you've been working on this project for all day or all week, like
Hmm.
nonstop. Like, give yourself a break. And that could be like just taking a nap and absolutely doing nothing. Um, so overall, trying to do things that make me happy, whether it's like reading books and like I read a lot of children's books. Like I'm super passionate about reading and literacy, and I read a lot of children's books because in children's books there's a lot of like positive messages that's for kids, but anybody can read it and take something back. So not only in like what do I do for myself mentally, of me saying like, oh, just with my son I do these things, because thinking of just Toya without all the titles of being a mother
Yeah.
and all these different roles and responsibilities is like taking naps. Like completely, like sometimes I'll say, like, I have so much to do that I'm just going to sleep. Like I have so much to do, I'm just going to sleep, because when I wake up, it's still going to be there. But also giving myself grace of having like setting deadlines and making sure that I'm meeting those
Hmm.
deadlines, but like extending deadlines. If I can't get something done in a timely manner, then like speaking up and advocating for myself, like, hey, this is not going to be done here. I need more time. So even like things like that, it helps me mentally. And also, what's been really mentally helping me and things that I do for myself is saying no. And
Period.
not only like work related things. If I don't want to do something, if I'm invited somewhere and I just simply don't feel like going, like, hey, I can't make it, and not really come up with no excuses of why I can't get it done or do it. So just saying like, because usually I'll say like, oh, I can't come there because I have my son, or no, I can't come there because of, I don't know, whatever the case may
Yeah.
be. Or just saying like, hey, I'm sorry, but I'm not able to make it, period. Like, and that's really it. So not overextending myself, because a lot of people like, Toya, can you do this? Toya, like, and it's like, no, I can't. Like, no. So all of those things mentally helps me with keeping my mental and make sure I'm in a happy and stable place. And overall, honestly, I'm not the type, like I'm kind of the type that like just like, oh, it is what it is and kind of let it
It's my
roll
motto.
off. So I really haven't been, and not saying that I don't go through anything like mentally or sometimes like I'm down or things, because I do, but since I've been a child, I've kind of had this like it is what it is mentality. Like you'll always see me kind of smiling and things like that, even when I'm kind of upset. Does not mean that I'm not upset, but I'm kind of able to like roll things off and kind of have
Hmm.
like the it is what it is perspective on life things. Like some things are not funny, and I find myself like laughing in the like craziest moments and situations, and it's really not funny. My friends like, Toya, this is not funny. You just lost your job or something like that. I'm like, hey, it is what it is. So I do have that perspective
It
and
is what it
attitude.
is.
It helps me.
I mean, I have somewhat of a is what it is mentality, but I let shit get. I take shit personally. I really do. I really do, and I think I'm learning. I'm growing. But I give you kudos. Saying no is one of the hardest things to do. Um, I've always been a yes person. Yeah,
Hmm.
I can help. Yeah, I can do it. And I'm a homebody. I hate going out.
Really?
Yes, which is crazy because I'm an athletic director, so I'm always at like these events. But
Yeah, you're always meeting new people and things like that.
and it gives me so much anxiety, because like I'll go to games. Like I don't know if you probably don't know this, but like I don't know if you've ever noticed if I'm at an away game, I always have someone with me. Like I won't go by myself
Why
because
is that?
I don't I don't want to be there by myself. Like I think it's just like like I could go by myself and I have, but it's just easier for me to like have someone there to kind of like talk to, and you're just not sitting by yourself. And I don't
Mm,
like to like, I'm not just gonna be like, oh, like, hey, like, that's not who I am. Like, I'm a very introverted person. So like when I go out, I'm just like, mm.
yeah, especially in your role as the athletic director, that gotta be kind of like puts you in a space of like a little bit kind of uncomfortable, but it allows you to step out of your comfort zone as
Mhm.
well.
Like I talk to people, I'll introduce myself to like other ADs and other people, but like when it comes to like if I'm sitting at like if I'm going to a basketball game, like when we went to the playoffs for basketball season, um I would be like, Dad, you want to go to this game with me? Like I don't want to go by myself. Like, and I think that's the thing is just like me and my dad bond over basketball, and it's like it's
Yeah,
kind of that way, but it's also just nice to have someone to talk
yeah,
to, you know what I mean? And it's just, I don't know, it kind of brings me peace, but I feel like a lot of it has to do with just things like I've gone through in life that like makes me want to have like someone there.
yeah.
But that's a conversation we can have off
Yeah,
off
I
of
think a
here.
lot of things in our childhood, I mean, it just never goes away. It kind of just it rolls into adulthood, and it makes who we are. So the first question is like, who is Latoya Turner? Even though I gave you like bits and pieces of it, but it makes me Latoya Turner. It makes me the
Hmm.
woman I am today because of how you were raised in your childhood. A lot of stuff that happened in my childhood and how my childhood was is the reason why I'm a given person. Is the reason why I love community work, which is the reason why I want students to learn about HBCUs. Because for me, it changed my life, and it was a
Hmm.
positive experience. And I want other kids to be able to learn about it and know about it and have that experience. And even if they don't, at least they have know their options.
Yeah, and I think that's the crazy thing is like as we get older, you don't truly realize how certain things in your life happened and like how they've impacted you in the long run. And I didn't realize that till I started therapy, where we're unpacking like certain things, and she's like,
Hmm.
That's why," and I'm like, makes sense."
Yeah,
So it's crazy how life works, and I try to take it one day at a time. Um, Still healing. I think that's the thing. Is just like there's so many things that you kind of brush aside. I think that's the thing, that you don't necessarily address it. And I tell people all the time is bottling things up and holding it in is only going to hurt you in the long run because
hmm
eventually you're going to have to deal with it. Um, but I do want to talk about one last thing, because we really didn't talk about it, which I was kind of surprised. So, why are HBCUs so important, and what was the experience like for you attending an HBCU university?
Yeah, so HBCUs, which stands for Historically Black Colleges and Universities, are important to the culture, is important to Black history, is important to individuals who attended, or even if you didn't attend a HBCU or graduate from an HBCU, is a huge part of Black history. And there's so much history and meanings behind historically Black colleges, universities. At one point we weren't allowed to attend other universities, so they were created by and for us, and we created our own space in our own lane. And even now, to this day, after they've been around for hundreds of years, they hold so they hold such a great space in my heart, and I'm super passionate about it because is a space for Black students who
Mhm.
attend them to thrive. Is a safe space. You could attend an HBCU and get a college degree. Like, these are real places, and I think sometimes there's a lot of misconceptions about HBCUs, like, oh, they're expensive. There's no um, scholarships available, or all
Mhm.
of the different things. But my experience at Central State University was amazing. And I'll kind of move forward and then kind of go back. But I don't think that I realized how important it was and how dope it was to attend a HBCU until I graduated. Anytime that you're in school, of course, you're having the time of your life, and oh, I can't wait to graduate after so long. I can't wait to
Hmm.
graduate. Even when you're in
Yeah.
high school, I can't wait to graduate. Then you're in college, oh, I can't wait to graduate. But while I was there, I definitely knew it was something special because one, I had fun. I had tons of people who around me, professors and people who actually cared and was invested into my future, into
Hmm.
the work that I was doing. I met amazing friends, the network opportunities of people who I still like in contact with to this day. But the marching band, the fraternities, the opportunities, the safe space, the fun that we had, it just truly, it's almost hard to explain if you didn't. I have like a really hard time explaining like what it was like, because it's
Yeah.
actually like a feeling of when you step on the yard of everyone looks like you. And one thing I always get, like, HBCUs, anybody can attend an HBCU, like they're
Hmm.
for everyone. But for me, my experience shaped me to the person who I am today. And the reason why I founded an organization, Brown Hands Literacy, to educate kids about HBCUs at an early age. And really not only kids, like I'm educating everybody about HBCUs because my experience was, it was powerful. It was belongingness. It shaped me and molded me to the
Hmm.
person I am today. It prepared me for the world. It was all of those things. And I met people who met people who was in college who feels like family. And even though there's people who I'm now connected with who was not at Central State while I was there, all I had, they could graduate 20 years from ahead of me, or me 20 years before me, and they're still like, hey, oh, you went to all of this, oh, you went to Central State, or oh, you went to HBCU, and automatically there's a connection and a
Yeah.
special bond.
That's how
So
I
yeah.
feel about like Taft when people are like, I'm an alumni. It's like one of those things where it's just like one of those special things. And I think it's a beautiful thing. And I think when you came for HBC United Taft, the excitement our kids felt, I think it's just important for these kids to know all of their options. I think that's the biggest
Hmm.
thing. And I think it is important. And I've had friends who, I had a friend in high school who went to an HBCU. She left that HBCU to go to like UC, went to UC
Hmm.
for a semester, was like, she went back to Clark.
Wow.
And it was like
Yeah.
one of those things where it's just like you fit in where you fit in, and you just got to do what's best for you. And I have conversations with a lot of my students who want to go to HBCUs, but there's also, I feel like, a lack of education behind it,
Hmm.
especially with certain people. So it's important work that you're doing, and I think it's amazing. And I think there's so many different ways to collaborate with you in the future. And I'm just
Yes.
I'm super excited. I know, like, you reached out the other day with an email. We're gonna talk. I'm gonna talk to Principal Barrow about it this week. So super excited just to continue to work with you and get to know you a little bit more, because you are an amazing person. Your mindset is one of the greatest things about you. I think you just radiate positivity, and you are making a difference, and I think that's the
Oh,
biggest
thank
thing.
you.
So keep doing what you're doing. Your work is valuable and it's important, especially in today's world. I think it's even more important now than it
Hmm.
ever has been. um, but if anyone wants to continue having a conversation with you about anything that we've talked about today, whether that's education, HBCUs, writing a book, whatever it may be, um, how could they get a hold of you?
Yeah. So on social media, is Brown Hands Literacy on all social media platforms. I'm personally on LinkedIn. I'm on LinkedIn. It's my name, Latoya Turner. My email address is brownhandsliteracy at gmail.com. So Brown Hands Literacy, pretty much everything. I'm really active on social media, always promoting like literacy and HBCUs. So if you follow me on Instagram or Facebook and send me a DM or an email, whatever you prefer, I'll definitely get back with you. I also have a film titled Brown Hands Black Schools HBCUs, which is an animation with live action teaching kids about HBCUs, and it's on YouTube under Brown Hands Literacy. So literally, if you search up Brown Hands Literacy, you'll find me.
Period. That's the
Period.
best way to do it. Everything's uniform, everything's the
Everything. Brown
same.
Hands Literacy.
And that's the brand. I think that's important when you're building a brand. But I just want to say thank you. Thank you for taking the time out of your day to hop on the pod. I love chopping it up with people, and this was a great conversation.
For
So
sure.
thank you. I really do
You're
appreciate it.
welcome, and
And
thank you for having me.
of course, I was like thinking of guests, and I was like, I gotta have Latoya. It's because of like the vibe. Like I was like, she's a great person, and this would be a great conversation. And it was like one of those things where like I was like, yeah, it's happening. I'm
Well,
reaching
thank
out.
you for thinking of me. That's dope.
Because I was like trying to go through my like network, and I was like,
Yeah.
who would be good? And I was like, that's it.
Mm,
Again, thank you. I appreciate it so much. It's been
you're
great
welcome.
chopping it up. And I want to say thank you all for tuning into this podcast. I will put all of Toya's information in the description below. If you all happen to reach out to her, please just make sure you note on how you found her. It would be greatly appreciated. And make sure you give us a follow on all social media platforms. It's at Ignyte Your Why. We're on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, TikTok, you name it. We are there. So make sure you give us a follow. And if you're watching this on YouTube right now, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, turn that post notification bell on, and never miss an episode. I love you guys. I appreciate you. And always remember, find your purpose, ignite your why, and I'll holler at you guys later. Peace.